All right, my buddies. I don't know if did you guys see my little note in the email about gathering some grooming supplies? Oh, good. Brush, nail clippers, yay. So that's going to be one of our main socialization exercise today, is going to be getting used to the different items. Let me see. Okay. So, as always, before we do our socialization exercise, we have to discuss and remind ourselves of how we're going to know if our dogs are disliking anything that we're doing. So I'm not going to make you guys all unmute to do it, but I want you to put into place, into your brain, what it is that you're looking for. So if our puppy is uncomfortable with any of the things that we are going to expose them to, we are going to know if they potentially ignore you, if they don't want to continue interacting after a few seconds, if they don't return to you, and if they try to hide, tuck their tail, lean away. So those are the obvious ones. The less obvious ones are the things like tightly or suddenly closing their mouth, stiffening of their body, yawning, panting, puffing their cheeks, licking their lips, drooling excessively. Sometimes it's not out the side, sometimes it's out the nose. Them giving whale eye, big eye, side eye, shaking off their whole body, sneezing, but there's not necessarily something bothering their nose, excessive sniffing, turning their head away, biting at the air, biting at the object in this case, and hopefully not, but potentially peeing themselves or pooping themselves. I mean, that's a real thing that Rick actually unfortunately sees in grooming way too often. And dogs get so scared, they're just like, oops, I can't hold it anymore. So keep all that in mind as we do move forward. How are we going to know if they love the interaction, though, that we're putting them through? They're hopefully going to move toward us, asking for more interaction. They might lean into whatever you're doing, however you're touching them. Obviously, they might try to play. They might be wiggly and bouncy. So if we don't see those signs, it just means we got to go slow. We might have to do some more positive interactions. And the best thing about this exercise is that you guys were going to be handling your own puppy through this exercise anyway, just because, first of all, you have to do grooming at home regardless. Everybody needs to do grooming at home. So we're going to start out with the brush. And just for example, I gathered a few different brushes. Usually in class, we don't even, if you bring your own brush, that's great. Otherwise, we usually can pick out based on the coat of each dog what we would normally start them on. And there is not necessarily one good brush for every dog's coat. Sometimes there's multiple. So that being said, the shorter their coat is, the less number of brushes you need. So let's start at that level. This is a rubber curry brush. You can get it in different fashions. Kong makes a good one. This one's called Little Gruma. So this one, you can literally do this back and forth and all around in every direction, and it's very gentle. You're not going to hurt the dog. Actually, kind of nice on my arm. This is really good, and this isn't super important, and this is something that would be good on a coat like Reggie's because it's very short, but it helps to break out that dead hair. What we've been finding even more frequently is that just some of those dogs that have that really short coat get really itchy at this time of the year. Sometimes they might need a little cleanup in a bath, but sometimes it's just brushing them to help their body get rid of that dead hair. Now from there, the next thing when they have a little bit more hair is typically using something like a rake. This is a double rake. This is literally what is used here to brush out the big floofy dogs. And even this sort of thing, I think Freya probably has just enough hair that this could help get some undercoat out for her. Then you've got the slicker brush, and slicker brushes can typically be used on most coats, but you do want to be gentle with them and also watch your own fingers because ouch. The first blue one, this was a rubber curry brush, but the brand on this one is Little Gruma, like literally groom plus the letter A, Little Gruma. But Kong makes one also that's called a Zoom Groom. Sorry guys, I was just answering Leslie's question there. So next up, you got this one. This literally looks like a human hairbrush, but this works good to just do some light things or if you're trying to get little tangles out. And then of course we've got combs. This one is my favorite comb. It's been overused. The reason that I like it so much is because it has on one side a wider tooth. Once you get through with the wider tooth, you flip it around and you use the closer tooth, and this will tell you if your dog is actually fully brushed out. Even if you started with a rake, it's a good idea to go back through with something like this if they have any amount of hair, because this is what will tell you if there's much left in there. So now that I've given you guys some examples of things that you can use, this is how you're going to start it. You're going to have your brush of choice. You're going to show it to your puppy and let them smell it. Make them think it's a fun thing. Obviously, we don't want to necessarily encourage them if they're mouthing on it or doing other things that are too playful. But you can show it to them and let them sniff it. We really want them to notice that it's not a big scary thing. And then you're going to do a brush down their back or just maybe on their shoulder and give them a treat if you need to. If you need to hold a treat here and brush down their back, that's okay too. So we're going to do that a few times. And tell me if you see any discomfort. I wish I could get everybody on one screen and remove my face from it, because my face is not that important for me to see. Guys, to some extent. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you feel like your puppy has handled this exercise all right. All right. So one thing that I want you guys to think about though is whether or not you need to brush other places of their body. For some of you, you might be able to get away with just doing the bulk part of their back and their butt area and shoulders, but other of you might need to do some more brushing on their legs. So that's another thing. I want you to just see if you can hit the back of their legs, but the front of the legs sometimes hold on to a little bit extra hair that you don't even think about until you try to brush it. And then you're like, whoa, that was holding on to a lot. All right, does everybody have a cotton-like object, whether it's a cotton ball or a paper towel, napkin? It could actually, you could even get like a rag Freya seems to be really liking that Russian. Oh, now she's up. I shouldn't have said her name. All right. So once you have your item, this is one where you can show it to them, but just make sure they don't think it's a treat, because I've plenty of times seen the dogs just go, well, and try to put it in their mouth. So let them investigate it, but make sure that you have a good grip on it and they don't think it's a toy. And then once you've done that, pretend that that was just part of it for a second. You're gonna actually, you could sit on that for a second, put it under your leg, because next you're going to lift their ear and give them a treat. So pick one ear, lift that one ear, and give them a treat.
Hello. Charlie. Almost done. Oh, no.
All right, now can you touch their ear with your object? So lift it up and just do a little tiny swipe. We're not like really trying to dig in there and clean it, just a tiny little swipe.
There you go. It's good.
All right, now repeat to the other side. All right, anybody showing any sensitivity with their ears? Okay, good, good, good. Goju, you want to help out with this? Huh? All right, so if everybody's doing fine with the ear, now it's time for the hard part. These things. If you've got nail clippers, now's the time to grab them. You're gonna treat this in a similar fashion as you did with the brush, and you're literally just gonna make sure that they're locked or that they can't do any harm to them, and let them investigate it. You can even give them a treat for investigating it, because these are things we want them to like. Hey, Coach, you wanna like these? You wanna come up and be an example dog? Hi. Hi. Okay, so if they've seen it a couple of times, great. Now again, just like we did last time, just set that to the side. Immediately seeing this does not immediately mean we're gonna just charge in and try to cut their nails. So you can set that over to the side, and now I want you to do some footwork. So you're gonna pick up their foot and give them a treat. And you're gonna have to repeat this with all 4 feet. So pick up one foot, give it a treat, pick up the next foot, give it a treat. Get through all 4. And you can just do this lightly, because we're gonna take it a step further and we're gonna do it a little bit. All right. Did you get through the first 4? So now you're going to pick it up again, but you're going to squeeze it a little bit. nicely, but you're going to apply pressure and give him a treat again.
Foot.
Okay, next, you're going to pick up 1 foot at a time, and you're going to, again, hold on to it with a little bit of a pressure, and I want you to hold 1 nail between your fingers. So grab it and just try to hold on to 1 nail as if you were about to think about clipping it, but you're not holding the clippers yet.
No bites. Oh, no.
And see if you can do at least 1 toe on each paw. I'm not necessarily expecting you to do all 16 to 20 toes. Oh, we're getting a little mouthy there. Okay, that's a good point to bring up. Venus is having trouble with any sort of interaction. Let me see if I can finish reading that chat. She immediately goes after your hand when you reach out to touch hers. So that just means that you need to take it back 1,000,000%, and that's okay, because there are going to be other puppies that do that. So what I'm going to have you guys do is take it back in the sense, I'm just going to use this as an example. This is the puppy's paw. This is the puppy's paw. We're just going to like act like we're touching and give a treat. Don't even touch it. Just, I'm pretending to touch your toe. Here's a treat. And if you need to answer me this though, you can just answer with a nod. If one of you holds the treat and the other one does it, will she automatically turn toward the person who's trying to touch her paw, or will she focus on the treat? She'll focus, well, which one? Sorry, will she focus on the treat? Or will she go for the hand? Okay, she will focus on the treat. Okay, good. So then that's a way to make it a little easier. Well, either way, you got both instructions.
She goes after the hand. She doesn't go after the treat.
Oh,
She doesn't think the treat is fun. She thinks the hand is fun.
okay. So then, yeah, you guys just need to work with the hand approaching and rewarding for that, because if she's just like, oh, hand, she's just having too many issues with that. But you could still do a slight variation where you have the paw, you distract with the treat, and your hand just comes around it, like on the floor. It doesn't have to be, I'm not even aiming toward your paw. I'm just like, what's over here next to your paw? But it sounds like she's super paw shy. So you're just gonna have to do baby steps with that. And another thought that often helps is to do it when she's already tired. If she's already tired and a little bit sleepy, just kind of like accidentally graze her foot and don't make it a big deal. But it is normal. It is a normal issue. Not a fun one, but normal. Okay, so you guys are not necessarily going to do this step with Venus, but everybody who has been doing okay, you're going to now. You've done Reggie's nails twice already. That's amazing. So for anybody who does not feel like they're at that stage yet, which I don't expect you to be. But again, this is going to be our paw, for example. You take your nail clippers now, and again, you're going to show it to them. You're holding the paw and just tap it. Tap that toenail and give them a reward. Yeah, I bet they are. Sharp little puppy toenails are like cat claws in essence. So toe, like I said, try to at least one toe per foot. And definitely give a treat after the fact.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, I can actually probably draw you guys my picture. Maybe if I can get my pen out. Let's see. Now, how do I do screen right? I don't remember that. No, probably here. Share whiteboard. All right. I know, I did it. Hopefully everybody can see it. Would you say that's a good drawing? So what this is an example of is what you want to do when you are cutting their nails, when you get to that point. You want to do something more like the green cuts and kind of keep it as parallel to the ground as possible. Because if you start like this, you're getting way too close to the quick. This picture is meant to be their toenail more than their toe, even though I drew it kind of big. And essentially, once you start getting back into this area, this is all that quick. So you want to stay as flat with the ground as possible. That being said, some dogs' toenails do stick out a little bit more, and they might grow more forward like that. And if that's the case, then obviously it makes sense to cut more like that. But if you keep them nice and trim, you really shouldn't have to do much more than the green. I'll leave it up there for a second just to make sure everybody has a look at it. I can write in, I'm going to say, this is the nail. It's a nail bed in a sense. And this is all the quick. I hope not.
There you go.
You guys all get a taste of my beautiful handwriting there. All right, I'll close this out now if I can. Stop share. All right, so that is all you're gonna do for the nails. Now, shameless plug, anytime anybody doesn't want to do it, Rick does do them for $5, but he will give you your first one free. So that's something to always keep in mind. Now, next, you guys might not all have one of these available, but the next thing on the list is to get a toothbrush. Now, if it's been used by a human, I don't want you to use it on your dog, even if it's an old one, just because it could have leftover toothpaste, human toothpaste on it, and we don't want that. So instead, you can go get a super cheap toothbrush. They just have to be soft bristled. You can literally get it from the dollar store. It does not matter as long as it's soft bristled. This is an actual one that the groomers use. And then there's also ones that you can get that just go on your finger so that you can just kind of sneak your finger in your dog's mouth if they will let you. There's also other kinds that have more directions or angles where all of the bristles like face in toward the tooth and kind of encapsulate it. So all you have to do is kind of do this on all sides. Either way, you're going to, if you've got a toothbrush, you're going to show it to them. If you don't, you can use, again, a piece of gauze or a rag so that it's just something that is available to use. Ooh, yep, that's perfect. Venus has a perfect one. That's like the super technical dog toothbrush. All right, so what you're gonna do is you can show it to them if you want to do that, but no worries if not, because we will work our way back up to that. What we do have to go back though is to working on their face. This is one that is weird for them. We have to remember that. So gently just grab their nose and give them a treat. Nose treat, nose treat. Or snout treat, I should say. We're not just literally grabbing onto their little nose. And I can see Freya's like, no, don't do this to me. And that's a normal one. That is very normal. I've had that with all 3 of my past puppies. They're like, no, my face is itchy. Don't do that. I'm going to definitely join you guys on this one because I have a dog here that needs his teeth brushed and we were not good at this. So you're starting out just grabbing their lips, the neck or their snout. Now the question is, can you actually lift their lips? One at a time. Don't just try to do both because it's pointless to try to do both anyway. Did she just ditch you? She's like, I'm not coming back for this. And if that's the case, sometimes what I say to do is like pet their head up top and then just creep your way over and pull up their lip from the side. One thing that will help your cause, if you have it already, great. Sometimes they do just come with the kit. If you don't, it's important to get dog toothpaste. And I've got this one and I haven't found a puppy so far in class that does not like it. So this is what I've been using. And it's kind of like one of those in between where it's vanilla ginger flavor. So it's not like super minty, but it's not like beef flavored, which if the dog likes beef flavor, fine, get them beef flavor. Because it's more about keeping their teeth clean. It's not so much about giving them the freshest breath. Goji, Goj, wake up, buddy, come here. Angle this down a little bit. Come here, Goj. So that when we are ready for this next stage, you can add a little toothpaste on it. If you guys don't have toothpaste at home, there's a couple of things that you can use. You could use just some baking soda and water and make it into a paste, but you want to use a very little bit of it because you don't want to like overwhelm your dog's system with salt. And you could also, if you wanted to just for practice, use some peanut butter or some broth or something that has exciting flavor on it. Come here, Coach. Come here, buddy. So I'm kind of trying to use a lure to get him up here to see it. Come on, Coach. Come on, buddy. Come on. You're so silly. Get up here.
Buddy.
Hi. Hello. Oh, no. He thought I wanted him to lay on me. Oh, that was wrong. Okay. So I'm just going to try to hold him here for you. Oh, look, does that smell good? So then once you are ready, you put a little bit of something on the toothbrush and just let him look at it. Because that automatically is going to give us a good association. You could scrub their tooth and then give them a treat, but if the treat's already on there, why do you need to have multiple steps? Good boy. So just let them lick it off. If they really start getting into it, turn it into a little bit more of a toy. Make it a fun thing. You can move it around. See, look how easy that is. Good job. Good job. And Goji is a dog who we have been working on his face being touched, because typically when you touch his face, he's getting much better, but he used to like lift his lip like, ew. It wasn't aggressive in any sense, but it was definitely, you could see that it was uncomfortable for him. Did you do more? But if you really want to get specific and you want to start working on it, you do lift the lip and then get in there with the toothbrush. Good boy, Coach. Good boy. And if you want to throw in some bonus treats, you certainly can. All right, puppies. One of the best skills that they can work on now, because as we can see from just keeping an eye on all these puppies, that one of the biggest difficulties in working with this is getting them all to just want to stay still and relax for you. So what do you think our skill is gonna be? STAY, stay. And it's not something that we have that is completely foreign to our dogs, because we do implement it to some extent when we're working on our mat work, but we're going to also make sure that they learn it as an independent skill outside of their mat, because this is something that is life applicable, meaning that you're going to use a stay when you have your dog at a doorway, when you have your dog waiting for food, when you have them waiting for attention, etc. So this actually becomes part of your new Say Please policy for this week, is to get them to do a very short little stay for you before you give them anything nice. Now, how to practice the stay is going to depend on your dog. If they have a good down, I would prefer that you practice with them laying down, just because they're more likely to relax and hold it longer. If they're not there, and that's okay, you can practice it from a sit. But the basic steps to this are: get them in whatever position you want them to be in. Give them a hand signal for stay, usually this. If you need to hold it out for them, that's okay. If you just give it to them and take it away, that's also okay. So give them that hand signal, say the word stay, and just count 3 to 5 seconds. So let's see where they're all at with that before I add any difficulty to it. So starting a sit or a down, tell them to stay, give them a hand signal. Don't move away, just get them to hold it.
Stay. Stay.
And if you feel like that's super easy for your dog, then stand up. And repeat the same thing at 3 to 5 seconds and make sure that there's no difference. Because when you stand up, you're automatically creating a little bit of distance. Nice job. All right, creep your way on up. Do 7 to 10 seconds. And if they are rocking it right now, celebrate, because this is one of the most important skills for dogs to build off of, which is impulse control and frustration tolerance, which is so important. The dogs that develop this skill early are less likely to have other nuisance, quote unquote nuisance behaviors, or basically behaviors where whenever they don't know what to do with themselves, they lose their mind and they just show all these ugly frustration behaviors. And to some extent, that is something you guys probably do still see, and you do still go through that with them sometimes. But the difference is, when they are 5-6 months old, it starts to make it a lot harder to work on this skill, and it starts to get much more frustrating for you and them. But if you've conquered 10 seconds, you guys are ready to do some distance. So play around with your footwork. Can you take 1 step away? Whoop. And if you can't take one step away, that is okay. What I want you to then do, and I'll see if I can give it just a little example of this. To my feet. Okay, so if I tell my dog to stay and I try to take a step back like this and they can't handle it, hi Goji. He's not part of this. He just wanted to come into the frame. If they can't handle that full step back, do this. Just stand in place and step your feet back and forth, and then reward them pretty quickly after that though. And sometimes maybe they can't handle a step back, but can you work on a step sideways? And even when you can't do a step back, can you literally just put one foot back instead of putting both feet back? There are so many baby steps that can be taken here. It's ridiculous, but depending on the dogs, we have to often time, and other dogs are very much glued to their people. Struggle with stay because you're essentially saying, don't follow me around. And they're like, but that's my life. You're my life. So if your dog struggles with stay at all, you could also kind of consider it a bit of a compliment. I just want to check my audio really quick too, because some of you guys are showing up as black to me now, and I'm not sure, like just black screen. So I want to make well, yeah, definitely lost a second. Okay. No, I lost connection. Mm-hmm. You could hear me the whole time I lost connection? Okay. Yeah, everybody's connected now, but I definitely lost it for a second there, which is fine. All right, so I was saying I want to see if you guys can do a few steps away from your puppy, but still keep it to that 10 seconds. I'm not asking you to do a few steps from them and then stay for 10 seconds. Keep the 10 seconds within the amount of time that it takes for you to move away. From what I can see, though, everybody's doing quite well. I'm gonna watch each one of you, though. Oop. So I think when I was watching Venus just now, I think what I saw with her is it was when you kind of like started to turn your body away from her. That's when she was like, I'm coming. So play around with that. Don't just give up on it, but do it closer to her. So try to move your body side to side now instead of moving away and then doing a side. It's just all these little tiny baby things to consider. There you go. Good job, everybody. So I did kind of talk a little bit about the benefits of teaching stay, and obviously we know how well it has worked, especially when we are working on our mat work and such. When we've worked with it on our mat work, one of the things that we incorporate with that is to give them a sense hopefully I'm loading back up here. We're so close to done. All right, looks like we're all back. So what I was saying is, you're not, I'm back. You guys were all good. With your stay, when you're practicing on the mat, we typically try to give them a release to let them know that it is okay to then leave their mat. However, What we don't want to do otherwise here is we don't want to get in the habit of practicing a stay followed by a come. You don't want them to get in the habit of being called out of their stay whenever possible. When they are older and a little bit more advanced, I'm not as worried about that. But for right now, we really want to preserve the stay, which stay means literally stay there until I come back and tell you that you can leave it. So never practice stay and come at the same time. Even though it seems convenient, don't do it. All right, so now I want you guys to just take a brief break and find a toy and see if you can get your puppy to play for a minute. So we can give them a moment to reset. You guys have all been listening to me for long enough. Normally they would have already gotten to play. So, ooh yeah, get some toy action in there. And even if you're watching this as a recording, don't just walk away. It's important to play with them and give them a little mental break. Ooh, it's lottery. Get it. Oh yeah, there you go, boy. Could you pick up the toothbrush that I sat down there for him? Oh, good boy. Yes. There's nothing wrong, in my opinion, if the dog thinks that the toothbrush is a toy, as long as they let it go in their mouth and brush those teeth. It can be a fun experience. Good boy. All right, puppies are probably getting tired, so I'm not going to keep you guys too much longer, but I wanted to discuss the challenge. This is one of the things that it's, when we do it in person, and this is something we will do if you guys are able to make it on Saturday morning, 10:30, as last time. We'll do this challenge with them. And essentially we will put them on a little grooming table. We'll run them through all the same things that you guys did so that we can see how will they handle it if somebody else does it, but with some additions. So we've also got, where did I put it? We've also got some scissors, and they might never actually need exposure to these, but it's something that you guys could show them. I have the rubber band on here so that I can't actually get anything in there, but that I can let them listen to the sound. I can put it close to their ears and face where they might eventually need that. Cut out a mat if you're doing it at home or if they have to get their face groomed. And then this is also just a very small scale little rechargeable clipper, but I like to expose them to this too. So it's just a little buzz, and then I tend to run this down their back if they will let me. Sometimes the puppies will absolutely, they're not a fan. They're not gonna let me touch them with this, but it's still good exposure. So one way that you guys can work on this at home, if you don't have your own clipper, would be if you have a manual toothbrush. You can take a manual toothbrush and just expose them to that sound, and or see if you can just touch their skin with it lightly. Another thing that you could potentially work on, especially if you ever want to bathe your dog. There's a handful of people that I have encouraged with their very floopy dogs to just buy their own dog forced air dryer, because it really does speed up the process if you are going to self-wash your dog. But if they're going to go to the groomer at all, that's something that is typically used as long as the dog can handle it. So the simplest thing that you guys can do is expose them to a hair dryer if you've got one. And that doesn't mean turn it on and then point it at them and be like, tolerate this. It's baby steps again with everything. Just turn it on while they're in the room, give them a treat. let them sniff it when it's not turned on. And then eventually, oh, I'm just blow drying my hair. Oops, the wind gushed past you. As long as they didn't lose their mind, give them a treat. If they lost their mind, obviously, then you have to take it back a few steps and work on that. Anything else that you can think about that you can work on exposing them to in the grooming sense? Sorry about that barking, guys. Practice with them, because that's what we're going to do if you guys come on Saturday. So at this time, I'm going to say, ask me if you have any questions. You can type them in or you can unmute. And otherwise, we will be here 10:30 a.m. this Saturday. And you guys can come. I'm not sure what the weather looks like at this point. It was kind of a bummer we didn't have anything last week because the weather was beautiful last Saturday. Okay, I'm just looking at all of you. If you have a question at all, just raise your hand. Are you all doing beautiful? I don't know. Where did Freya go? What did Freya get into? He just took off like crazy. Oh, puppies into stuff.
This is what Reggie does. He goes onto the heat vent. And he sleeps. He just loves it.
He's such a short-coated dog in winter. He's like, I'm taking advantage of this.
I got to show you some pictures. I mean, we've got a wood burner. He crawls underneath it. I have to watch him because I'm afraid he's going to burn himself.
No
And
kidding.
the fire, he right up, like, I mean, he gets right against it. It's like, I don't know what he's going to do in the winter.
He doesn't know the danger of putting himself in that situation. So, I mean, that's funny, but not safe.
No.
But it's just like raising a toddler.
Mm-hmm. Well, all of a sudden you can see it gets too hot and he like stands up and he's really like, oh. But like on the heat vent, when it really blows, his ears start flopping. It's because he's got, blows his ears and then he gets upset with that. It's pretty funny.
Well, if all goes well, and I kind of gave this speech to my other class last night. If all goes well, we might be able to have class as normal next week, but we will essentially have to keep in touch because we just want to make sure that the order is not going to get extended or there won't be a new restriction, excuse me, or anything like that. So fingers crossed we will have normal class in person next week. If not, we will discuss options with you guys at that point. But otherwise, I'm going to end the meeting. And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to give us a message. All right, everybody looks good. Oh, was that a bye, Jan, or is that a question? Just a bye? Okay. See you later. Have a good night, everybody.